This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Homeless Tasmanians camping at the Hobart Showgrounds will be evicted tomorrow, with many claiming to have nowhere else to go. Residents have been sleeping at the Glenorchy site for months, the state's housing crisis leaving them without a roof over their heads.
A symbol of Tasmania's critical housing shortage, families left camping at the Hobart Showgrounds for months. But tomorrow the remaining residents will be evicted as set up for October's Royal Hobart Show begins.
I've been talking to people consistently for months now about this day was coming. I put a letter out to all the residents last week just confirming that tomorrow's the day.
Since the beginning of the year, more than 50 people have sought refuge on the Glenorchy site, even those with a stable job no longer able to afford rent or buy a home.
We're happy to do what we can, but you know, unfortunately there is a limit, and basically we've reached that limit.
The government says housing staff kept a close eye on the residents and it was investing into the accommodation shortage.
They employed an additional 3 people on the ground, Madam Speaker, to be out every day visiting people in need to ensure that they are connected with services.
It's not the showgrounds' job to be put in a situation where they're essentially a welfare agency.
But peak tourist season is on the way, the opposition fearing it will only make matters worse after an already tough winter.
When we head into peak tourism season, it's my anticipation that the vacancy rate will drop in Hobart again, and we will see more and more people finding themselves without a roof over their head.
Throughout the winter period, there were 40 to 60 rooms available in the Greater Hobart area every night. Accommodation places for people who needed it.
For now, Hobart's rental prices remain at record highs, leaving many with nowhere left to go. Michelle WISBEY, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian teachers have rallied around the state demanding higher wages and better working conditions. Educators claim their workloads are becoming less manageable. New research shows Tasmanian teachers work an average 11 hours overtime each week, with many saying they work long hours at the end of the school day and on weekends.
Teachers have always accepted that they've had to do work outside their normal school hours, but it's just getting to the stage where teachers are spending weekends and so much time that it's becoming extremely stressful for them.
The government says it will continue to work constructively with the Education Union, but was disappointed given its commitment to hire 250 more teachers over the next 6 years. The family of a woman who died while in care at the Royal Hobart Hospital in 2015 has told an inquest into her death staff were cagey about the details. Doreen Mansfield was in her 70s when she had a fall and died following complications from a broken femur.
The daughters of Doreen Mansfield giving evidence at the inquest into their mother's death, raising concerns over staffing levels and overall care at the Royal Hobart Hospital. Ms Mansfield was under a mental health order and staying there in August 2015. Daughter Robin Scott, normally her full-time carer, saying she had raised concerns about her risk of falling due to her mental state. But Ms Mansfield was found between the bed and the bathroom after a fall where she broke her femur. Ms Scott claiming she was told by a nurse that the fall was her fault because of the slippers her mother was wearing. Those allegations strongly questioned by the coroner, who called them very serious allegations of misconduct. Her other daughter, Cheryl Muscat, saying the staff seemed cagey on the details of her fall and didn't want to answer their questions. Ms Mansfield died following complications from the incident. Ms Scott also telling coroner Simon Cooper her mother's room was too far from the nurse's station and there wasn't a bell to call for help. Instead, a sign on the wall telling patients if you need any help, just yell. Nurse Ashley Howes telling the coroner that she didn't recall any concerns being raised about the room Ms Mansfield was in. The inquest is examining deaths in care, particularly those under mental health orders. More witnesses are expected to give evidence here at Hobart Magistrates Court tomorrow. Louise HEDGER, Southern Cross News.
Police are warning the public to keep an eye out for counterfeit $50 notes circulating in Launceston. The fake notes can be easily spotted by prominent blue-coloured Chinese characters. Police are investigating 16 incidents of the money being tendered. Those who find suspect notes are urged to handle it as little as possible and store it for police. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Tasmania Police is investigating the state's 4th reported case of fruit tampering, this time an apple in Huonville. It's understood a metal pin was found in the Royal Gala apple while a 9-year-old boy was eating it last night. Police have since seized the pin and are again reminding Tasmanians to cut up all fruit before eating it. Firefighters warn dry conditions could see an early start to bushfires on the state's east coast. While the upcoming season is not predicted to be catastrophic, authorities are urging the public to prepare for major bushfires anywhere in the state.
It's scenes like these firefighters warn could be returning to the east coast. Little rainfall has put the narrow east coast strip first in the firing line this bushfire season.
The outlook for this season is generally normal, but we've got a higher fire danger on the east coast, probably through from Orford to St Helens.
A gathering of emergency services and agencies today heard Tasmania could see up to 4 major fires this summer, with the fire season likely to start on the east coast.
Although the west has been wet to very wet so far this year, the east coast has had some of the driest rainfall conditions it's had on record.
El Niño may also see warmer weather on the way for summer. Elsewhere, firefighters will monitor the potential for grass fires in the northwest and the risk for blazes close to towns and cities.
For me, the biggest concern is our urban fringe areas. So people living on the urban fringe, so if they're within 100 metres of bushland, they are at threat.
While Parks and Wildlife has this warning for campers.
We'll be targeting abandoned, poorly constructed or unattended campfires or those lit illegally during fire restriction periods. As
for the broader public, we're being warned to prepare fire plans now before it's too late. Sean McComish, Southern Cross News.
Debate has begun on a controversial plan to make it illegal for convicted serious criminals to habitually consort with each other. The legislation targets outlaw motorcycle gangs and was designed to prevent criminal activity. But the opposition has raised concerns about the unintended consequences of the proposed law.
Tasmania is a small place, so we want to make sure that people aren't caught up in this. We want to make sure that police have the tools they need, though, to fight organised crime.
This bill will give Tasmania Police another essential tool to break up existing criminal gangs and hinder the expansion of national and international organised crime in Tasmania.
The debate is expected to continue late into this evening. The state's Cradle Coast has recorded the highest increase in visitation of any Tasmanian region, according to the latest visitor survey. The area saw a 4% increase in tourist numbers in the year to June 2018. The survey also found travellers are staying longer and spending more, with holiday nights up 11% and expenditure up 7%. Visitors in the financial year spent a record $2.4 billion, up 6%. Construction of Tasmania's first purpose-built mobile animal shelter is nearing completion. A 40-foot shipping container is being transformed into a home away from home for animals most at risk during natural disasters.
Tasmania is no stranger to natural disasters, inundated by flooding in 2016 and battling strong fires year after year. During these events, evacuation centres are set up, and now this shelter will also join the mix, able to be transported where needed around the state.
It's only a matter of time before there's another Dunalley. It's been proven post Cyclone Debbie in Queensland that a lot of persons were reluctant to leave because they couldn't take their animals with them.
It's a simple idea that could prove life-saving in an emergency.
From what I can tell, it's an Australia first, so I've not been able to find the concept anywhere else, but it's definitely a Tasmanian first and something that the City of Launceston is very proud of.
And every time there's an emergency, there are issues with animals, people with their pets or people with on a farm situation with animals. So there needs to be somewhere that we can keep them and store them safe while the disaster is happening.
So far, the shell has been partially fitted out, but still needs shelving, running water and an administration area. The whole build coming in at $23,000.
Once completed, we hope to be able to have at least 20 to 30 animals in here.
But we're very happy. It was born out of Launceston and actually designed and built in Hobart.
Construction is set to be completed within the coming months. Jessica Moran, Southern Cross News.
Dates for next year's Mona Foma have been locked in as the festival moves to its new home in Launceston, returning for 3 days from January 18 next year. Organisers say more acts will be added to the lineup as we approach the big weekend. The full program will be announced next month. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. Supermarket and banking stocks have pulled the Australian share market lower, with international trade hostilities weighing on the indices. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 20.5 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 72.56 US cents and 109.11 New Zealand cents.
Back home, a North Launceston Premiership player, Bo Sharman, will spend just one match of the 2019 TSL season on the sidelines, with last night's independent tribunal deciding that this contact on Lauderdale's Bryce Walsh during last weekend's grand final was intentional but low impact. While Glenorchy's Zach Webster also escaped with just the 1 week after this strike on Lauderdale's Jacob Gilby during the Pies prelim final loss was also deemed low impact. It brings his total to 3 weeks, however, after accepting a 2-match suspension for a separate incident during the same game. The Kookaburras has suffered an unexpected loss at the hands of Argentina at the Darwin International Hockey Open overnight. The top-ranked Aussies conceded 2 goals late in the third quarter against the 2016 Rio Olympic gold medalists and were unable to answer back on the scoreboard. The side now needs to beat Japan in its final round-robin game tomorrow to be guaranteed a spot in Sunday's final. Well, it's set to be a trip down memory lane for motorsport enthusiasts at the Baskerville Raceway in Old Beach this weekend, with several iconic cars from the Bathurst era taking to the track for the annual Historics event.
There's a lot of excitement in Hobart and the motorsport community to see the Group A and Group C touring cars back at Baskerville, the first time since 1984.
I cannot wait. The only time this particular car got on the podium was at Baskerville in 1983, and so the plan is to do it all again this year, 35 years later.
Record crowds are expected to turn out over Saturday and Sunday, with practice and qualifying getting underway tomorrow morning. He's one of the most inspirational young men you're ever likely to meet, fighting back from a terminal disease to get back doing the sport he loves. And now Jay Jennings is ready to face another big test against Australia's best young motocross riders. This was Jay Jennings 2 years ago, and this is him now.
The first time I got on a bike when I was 3 years old, I think, or 4, and it felt real fun, so I decided that's a sport that I wanted to do.
But at the age of 7, just as he was finding his feet in the sport, Jay was diagnosed with an aggressive form of liver cancer.
It was pretty traumatic because we found out on Mother's Day in 2016. It was scary, you know what I mean? There's no other word for it. Really, really scary. And for Jay, you know, having cancer in the liver was one thing, but it had moved into his lungs and into his spine.
Given just a 5% chance of survival by doctors, he went on to defy the odds, battling through a long and painful recovery. The 9-year-old is now 2 years in remission.
I'm really happy that that's all gone and that I can ride my bike again.
Determined to get back into competitive racing, he finished second at last year's state titles before recently claiming third at the Victorian MX Championships. Jay's now preparing to do battle with the country's best at the Australian titles in Penguin later this month.
We'll back him all the way with whatever he wants to do, and he's going to live life, mate, to the fullest.
And after coming out on top in the fight of his life, there's no holding back this little legend from here on out.
How tough was it?
Really hard.
Not as tough as you though, eh?
No.
Good evening. Another chilly night around the state last night. LOUISE dropping to -4. Hobart and Burnie reached 16 today. Launceston and Devonport 15 degrees. 17 the high at Friendly Beaches, Dunalley and St Helens, as cloud did increase during the afternoon with just a light shower over the west. Smithton, Ouse and Flinders Island 15. King Island, Lowhead and Grove 14 degrees. Strawn just 12, while LOUISE peaked at 10. Mid to low level cloud over the west produced those isolated showers. There was a drift eastwards during the day. On the bigger picture, more cloud moved over Victoria and east and South Australia. An area of high cloud is over northern WA, with the rest of the nation fairly clear. Tomorrow a high moves over New South Wales, maintaining a westerly flow over our region. A trough sits over Queensland as a front approaches Western Australia to connect with that trough there. Now winds west northwesterly at 15 to 25 knots, lighter inshore over the east but reaching 20 to 30 knots over southern waters, with swells rising to 4 to 5 metres. Strong wind warning is on. That's from Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point. We have a small craft wind alert for the lakes. The forecast for Hobart tomorrow is partly cloudy, warming up to 19 degrees. 18 the top for Huonville, Campania 19 as well. Launceston cloudy, 18 the top, 17 for Devonport with a bit of cloud, partly cloudy for Georgetown and 16 degrees. Burnie cloudy and 15 the top for Strawn with a shower or two in the west. Wynyard cloudy and 15. For St Helens tomorrow, sunny, 19 the top, getting up to 20 over Swansea, and Port Arthur partly cloudy and 19 degrees. On Saturday, showers extending statewide during the afternoon and evening. The fresh northwesterlies will turn southwesterly. Possible showers on Sunday, but fine and partly cloudy over the north and northwest. Snow to 500 metres. And on Monday, early snow again, along with a shower over the west and far south. Mostly sunny in Perth. Sunny but cooler in Adelaide and Melbourne. A morning frost forecast for Canberra with a -2 to start the day. Sunny in Sydney, a partly cloudy 24 in Brisbane. A possible storm over Alice Springs, where they've had not recorded any rain since mid-April.